Hey y'all, it's Hope here at Crafty Hope and welcome. I am working here in the last page of this altered book junk journal that I made. The cover's really the only thing that's left of it, but I'm working on junk journal January day 13 with the prompt garden. So you can see this last page here. I believe that's some where I picked up some prints on my jelly plate and put them on this page with some stamping or whatever, and then threw that in my journal. And this other piece I have cut out is an eco print that I did, oh gosh, y'all, probably forever ago. All of these pieces are actually, so that big leaf in the center there, that's part of a hydrangea leaf. Down at the bottom, some fern. And then the eco print is some Nandina, all of which are from my garden. So I thought that would work really neatly in this prompt. And you can see I'm thinking real hard about how to get all of these bits to work together. I'm thinking so hard on this. Junk Journal January is a challenge that comes from megjournals. I will link her below. It's a prompted challenge sponsored by or in collaboration with Get Messy, but it's a free challenge for anybody that wants to play along. So I decided to start off the year this way and do some daily arting with it, and it's really kind of worked out for me. Now you're seeing this probably at the end of January, maybe into February, whenever I get this up. I have been suffering with a cold for the past week. And yeah, decided that, not decided and haven't really been able to get back on top of these. So anyway, I didn't like the line of that packing tape over there, so I covered it up with some other collage bits and decided I really wanted to push back what was in the background there. They were really kind of became the focal of it. And I wanted to push it back somehow. And you can see I played with some deli paper and thought about it and moved things around and finally was like, oh, how about a tea bag? So I pulled out this tea bag in my stash and was like, you know what, that's going to be perfect. So I'm using fluid matte medium. I'm covering my page with it, and then I'm just going to lay that tea bag right on top here. And again, this is just to kind of push back the colors on this. I like the colors, but they were too much for the subtlety of that eco print that I wanted to use. So I'm also coating the top of this with lots of that fluid medium just to make sure it is stuck down really nicely. So I haven't done a whole lot to this page. That's kind of the joy of working in a junk journal, is you've got all kinds of elements that are already in there that you can either work with or cover up or whatever. And in this case, I was like, I really kind of want to keep that there. So I did dry it, and again, I am moving around this eco print. And what am I doing here? That's a little bit of white gesso. And I just really wanted to bring some brightness to this page and a little bit of abstract lines and grunginess. So you saw a couple little dots of that white gesso down, and I'm spreading them out with a palette knife to just, I don't want to say just. To get that, and I don't know why I didn't clip out this drying there. I don't know. So once I got that gesso dried, I've come back in with that same palette knife and some crackle paste. So yeah, I thought this would add a bit more texture and give it again some more like aged gardeny feels, like out in the garden. There was a clump on my palette there. I had to put off on something else. So again, I'm just going over this area a little bit. I'm trying to leave, as much as I don't want those leaves to be the focal of this, I don't want to cover them up completely. I still want you to be able to see them. So here I'm starting to go over them just a little bit more. But for the most part, I tried to avoid covering them up. But I know in my heart that they are not the focal to this. So I let that crackle paste air dry. That's, how crackle paste does best, is letting it air dry. Tore down that eco print just a little bit more. And then decided that the EcoPrint had some touches of green in it that I just wasn't seeing on the page. So I've got this homemade alcohol ink spray that I made. It is just rubbing alcohol. I keep saying just, it's making me crazy. It's rubbing alcohol with those felt tubes that come inside of markers. Yeah, I've got a tutorial on how I do that. I'll put that up. I'll link that up there, and hopefully I'll try to remember to put it below as well. So I covered a lot of that white area with some of that green, trying to bring in that green that's on the Eco print. And then I grabbed some walnut stained distress oxide and I put it on a piece of acetate. I'm wetting it with my sprayer, and I've got a big paintbrush, and I am going to scrub in around here to also bring in the darkened areas of that Eco print and to just darken this up just a scoosh. This also goes into the lines of the crackle paste, and that's great. Now, what's awesome about that alcohol ink that I have is once it gets down and dries, it's pretty permanent. So it's not going to go anywhere with this distress oxide, but the distress oxides might move because they are not permanent. So, yeah. So I've got that grunge back, pushback that's looking a little bit better to me. I am going to use some walnut stained distress ink this time and a ink blender and ink up the edges of my Eco print just to frame it up a little bit, get it its own little shadow and let it pop a bit. This is, yeah, it's a finishing touch that I've started doing a bit more in my work. So I'm going to try that and decide what else I need here. And this is, I think it's called Rustic Wilderness, and it's a distress oxide spray. I felt I needed even more of that green. Y'all, look how that is bent in there, which is fine. It held what I needed. I'm going to get some splatter on here, activate it just a little bit. I really like how it goes into the texture of the tea bags along with that crackle paste, and I let that dry. And again, it brings in the rustic wilderness, the garden feel of it. So I thought that was fabulous. On my desk, I happen to have, I think it's possibly from my last Junk Journal January page that I shared with y'all. That may have been, what's that, 12? Anyway, I'll link that also for y'all. I had some coral colored thread, which is basically, it's the coral blush that I used on the previous spread along with what's on that page because I love that color. So I decided to kind of shred down that embroidery floss as just more texture. And then I found a piece of lace here that again adds so much more texture and really is a great backer for this piece. So everything's starting to come together here. I'm going to cut down that lace. I didn't want to cut it till I was sure I wanted to use it, and yeah, I still feel like it's a bit wide. I think I'm going to cut one of the edges. Oh, and see, I took off with my embroidery floss. It stuck to that other piece. So I will futz with this a bit more, trying to decide if it works. I am sorry if my voice is a bit froggy and I sniffle in here. Like I said, that cold has done me in for a bit. I'm finally coming on to the other side of it. I've got, that is some matte gel medium, spreading it with that same palette knife. Such a great tool. Put that straight on my page. Then I'm making a sandwich here basically. So it was matte gel, lace, matte gel, this coral thread. I guess I didn't cut it down anymore. I thought I was gonna. Then matte gel on the back of this to make sure it completely touches my Eco print. And then, and then stick that down. So I'm gonna look at this a bit more. I can't remember what else I did here, but it definitely needs a bit something else. That green is still not feeling quite right. Here I'm reaching for my journal off camera. Oh yes. So I'm thinking what else I need. I'm scooshing around my desk for things. I grabbed a Stabilo all pencil in black and I dipped it in some water, and I'm using a paintbrush along the tip to splatter splatter some dark on there because I felt that's what it needed. That green was feeling far too bright, even though it's exactly what I wanted. And then I grabbed the Tim Holtz clippings, and I'm going to look for a while at it, and I find a phrase that says the most beautiful thing. First, I'll dry this. So I pull up that the most beautiful thing, because I do feel that nature is where you're going to find the most beautiful things in the world, or looking inward, really. So I'm going to look at this, and I just don't like how it feels stretched across the page like that. And the whole time I'm messing with it, I'm thinking about if this is the whole phrase, how I want to phrase this. I do need to add some glue to the back of these stickers. Honestly, they're still, even after I've completed this days ago, they're still not sticking. I need to get back in all of that texture that's on that page from the crackle and the gesso and the tea bag and all. It makes it a bit harder to get these stickers to stick. No fault on the sticker, but I threw a lot at this page in a short amount of time. It worked. I was going on instinct here, and a lot of times that's really what works best for me. If I overthink it, that's where things tend to go awry for me. Look at that. The beautiful's already peeling up there. So I'm going to weigh it down and hope that it works. And I took a little piece of paper to my typewriter and typed up the phrase, "is the garden you grow." So this ends up saying the most beautiful thing is the garden you grow. And the more I thought about that, the more I loved it, because you can interpret that in so many ways. The garden you grow can be the life you create for yourself, the children that you have, the things you put out in the world. That's the garden you grow. Or you can take that literally and mean to be the garden that you've planted outside your house. But what you've planted in the world hopefully will be the most beautiful thing. So that's kind of what I was getting. It's a little corny, but it's truly what I feel. So that's plant those seeds of kindness in the world, and it will hopefully grow into the most beautiful thing. All right, so nothing wanted to stick to anything, so I'm having to weigh it all down and do it all. And here's a look at it. It came together beautifully. I know it's on Instagram. A lot of people really like this, so I hope you do too. If you do, give me a thumbs up. Let me know if you have any questions, and I've got more junk journals coming back for you. So hopefully you enjoyed them as well. Thanks for watching, y'all. Bye.